All right. Today we're going to have an interesting show. Hope my audio is coming in good. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear the audio coming in through good on your end. All right, put a 1 in the chat if you hear the audio coming good on your end. Okay. Interesting show we're going to have tonight. Just making sure the audio is good all the way through. All right, so we're all good. We're all good. We're all good. All right, folks. As you can see the thumbnail, it says people's opinion. All right? People's opinion. Now, according to the title, all right? Culture Mimicking. Does people's opinion truly matters? Does it? Does people's opinion truly matter? And I've been wanting to have these kind of conversations for some time now. Because when you think about it, everybody's opinion matters. They may not want to admit it to themselves that people's opinion affects them emotionally, psychologically, and they may try to downplay it. They may try to avoid it, but it affects each and every one of us. So people's opinion matters. Now, I got me some sparkling water, some healthy chips, plantain chips, because we want to have a conversation tonight. So while we doing this, I'm going to be crunching on my chips and drinking down my sparkling water. Thank you very much. And I must say, I often try myself to avoid when someone have an opinion about me, because I can't let their opinion really infiltrate my mind. However, it does in some way. People will say, "So Shai, you're so calm." And I'm like, yeah, it takes me a bit to go off. But what happens when I do go off is because I've said it over and over, repeatedly. Please stop that. I don't like that. Right? While some people may have a playtime in them going from 0 to 100, others don't. Others go from 0 to 100 real quick. Right? So you have to wonder sometimes, like, hey, what's wrong with that person? They have already told you that they don't like how you speak to them, how you act around them, or you avoid them, how you overemphasize and try to embarrass them around people. They have already told you, but maybe not in words. Maybe they've told you in their actions. Maybe they gave you that look. But maybe you're not paying attention. And because you're not paying attention, guess what happens? You don't see the telltale signs. And they're looking at you like, and they see the red flags with you, but you don't see what they are experiencing. And low key, they're boiling inside. And sometimes they might be saying, I can't wait until this MFer do this again. I'm going to give him one, or give her one, or tell her, how women speak to women, how men speak to men. Tell you one thing here. Us men, we have a level of potential violence that could happen among us. So when we go to certain places, we tread lightly. We tread lightly because the potential of imminent violence is always there. Unlike women, a woman will run up on a guy that's 6 foot, 7 foot tall, and she's like a pint size 4'2", and thinking she could whip him. Why? Because she knows that the protection of the law is there. So people's opinion matters in all facets of life. So I was on the train a few days ago, and it is what sparked me to get in this mindset of, hey, I'm going to do a show about people's opinion and how it affects us. So I like to people watch. And when I like to people watch, I people watch with the mindset of observing how they react to each other. So I'm sitting down on the train up to Palm Beach with my little one. She's on her headset. She's listening to her music, but I'm looking around and I see seats empty. And there might be a brown skinned guy or a light skinned person, a woman or a man sitting in a seat. And I noticed that when it's a light skinned woman come and a light skinned woman sitting in the seat, she will sit there. And I'm like, that's kind of odd. And then I noticed that when a brown skinned man comes up and a light skinned man is sitting in the seat and three seats are empty on the train, the guy will look around to see if there's another seat with a brown skinned guy, and guess what? He goes and sit by that guy. I'm like, ah. But another thing I notice is that they look the person up and down. So if it's a Caucasian, looks the person up and down. And I see those little, what they call them, plastic smiles. You know, those are the plastic smiles that Caucasian people tend to give, especially the woman, where they go, but they really don't mean it. And, or if it's a brown skinned guy, what you call a black guy, sees a Caucasian guy, a white guy, he look at him like kind of sideways. And I notice it's vice versa. And I would just have this smirk on my face and I would look around to see if I see any other judgments going on. And I noticed that these people are casting opinions of the person that's going to sit beside them, or these people that are looking for a seat is casting opinion about the person that's sitting down in the seat. And I'm like, oh. But it gets worse. Oftentimes, if a guy comes in, like I saw this one guy, he came in, he had dreads, and he's really dark skinned, right? And there was a Caucasian woman sitting down in the seat, and she looks him up and down because he kind of looks scruffy, right? And then he sat down and his phone rang, and then he starts speaking, and you could see the change in her face. She looked at him like, wow, this guy speaks intelligently. So she judged the book by its cover. And I'm just there inside dying laughing, right? Because we judge people based on what we see and not by their character. Because guess what? We really don't know a person's character, until they show us who they are. Give me a second. So, if you ever go out and you think that, oh, today I'm fly, I look good, nobody's going to judge me. Even no matter how fly you look, guess who is a big judge? You, my friend, is your biggest critic. You might say that you look good today, right? The girls might look at their hair, their makeup, and they're confident that they look good today, right? But there's a little blemish right there. And no one else sees that blemish. No one else sees that blemish but them. And guess what? They will pay more attention to that blemish on their face that nobody else sees. Now, we know that, men out there, you have a wife, a girlfriend, a woman, whatever you call her, a significant other. And she comes and she asks you, hey, honey, how do I look in this dress? And you better give her the right answer or it means war, right? She says, do I look fat? and you say, yes, she is going to go off the deep end. Man, you know what I'm talking about. She is going to go off the deep end. Well, why did you marry me then if you think I'm fat? Did you know that when I was slim and looked good, you like me then, you don't love me now? And how I know is because I've been in a similar situation, right? So, because of all those nuances, people judging themselves, biggest critics, right? We will go out and we will put on costumes to enhance our appearance, right? And we will cosplay as another group of people. So, what I'm going to continue on to say in my monologue, this is going to ruffle some feathers tonight. And for those of you that get offended, whether you're watching it live now or you watch it in the future, this may offend some people. And for that, I apologize. But I truly am speaking the truth. Now, I noticed that when a person is born light skinned, they want to be darker. Then they go get tan. So a Caucasian person, born Caucasian, and what we call white, and guess what? They go and they tan themselves. They lay in the sun for hours, tanning themselves so they could get darker. And the dark skinned people, dark brown skinned people, bleach their skin so they could get lighter. Why? Because they believe that the opinions of the opposite people is going to judge them and judge them harshly. And we know that many people don't like their skin color. We know that right now the dominant group of people on this planet are the Caucasian people, right? And they will go out and they will mock every other group of people about their features, while at the same time going out and trying to attain or acquire their features. I remember when I was growing up, and big butts. We know that brown skinned people, typically Afrocentric or Afro diaspora people, usually have a bigger butt. And in that understanding that they have a bigger butt, what will typically happen is that we understand that majority of Caucasian women butt is flat, right? Some of us call it pancake. And we know that they have an issue with black women, quote unquote, having a bigger butt. So because they envy Afro women having bigger butts, they mock them while at the same time mimicking them, right? I am going to pull I'm going to search. We're live. I'm going to search and I'm going to pull up images of women that made big dresses to pretend that they have a big butt. Now, this is not to offend anyone, but it's the truth. All right? So, let me do that. Give me a second here. Let me see if I find the images. All right. Case in point. All right. So before, let me share my screen. So let me show you. So this is how I don't know if you can see this picture. All right, let me see if I can pull it up. I'll come over here and expand this and then bring it back down. All right, let me see if I can find a different one. I need something that's bigger. I think you guys can probably see this picture right here. So this picture right here in the corner over, right? This was a woman with a natural butt that's that big, right? But we can find smaller butts, right? However, because lots of Caucasian women wanted a big butt, they mocked the Afro woman. So the European woman wanted a bigger butt, and they mocked the Afro woman for having a big butt. Why? More so because their husbands like to look at the Afro woman's butt and shape. So what did the Caucasian woman started doing? They started making dresses right here. See this picture right here? That give them a shape of a bigger butt. So one group have an attribute that another group wants. But one group decides, I am going to mock you. I'm going to ridicule you because I'm jealous of what you have, because I want it. And so they created laws to make women stop wearing their natural self. Making Afro women stop wearing their natural selves, while at the same time creating dresses and attire to appear that they have a bigger butt. Like this right here. So remember, I showed you this picture first. Now, look closely at this picture right there. And then now, look closely. This is an Afro woman. Now look closely at the European woman. All right? And tell me if you don't see the exact similarity there. It's like a basic ripoff. Right? While at the same time mocking the Afro woman, the African woman, of her features. All right? Now, let's come a little bit forward. Let's talk about, so let me check this off. We talk about cosplaying. So let me put a note there. Right? Now, while this was happening, they were also being ridiculed over their hair. And why? Because the African woman and the Afrocentric woman would have hair that could be braided. They could do fancy hairdos. Let's pull up a picture. Fancy hairstyles of the past. Okay, so that's Caucasian woman, but European woman. But let's look at fancy All right. This is not way back. I want back hairstyles back in slavery. All right. So this now, these are the hairstyles that they have during slavery, right? So they could do some very elaborate hairdos. Let's pull up. Let's pull up. Well, we know this. This is a braid, but these are hairstyles that they were doing back then. It was so much so that the jealousy of Afro women being able to create their hair styles in such a way that it's elaborate, Euro women started wanting to do the same thing because their husbands were actually attracted to that. So, excuse me, because, sorry about that, because their husbands were attracted to those different hairstyles and features, what did they do? They forced their husbands, because at the time the woman, the European woman, didn't have the rights to vote and make decision. So they would go to their husbands to create laws. And so they started creating hats where they outlawed hairstyles, and so the woman had to cover up their hair. So let me show you. Let me show you. Now, fancy black hats back in slavery times that okay, so because the European woman wanted their husband to pay attention to them, they forced their husbands. You know how women do. They, honey, this is really bothering me. Could you write a law that would make them cover their hair, please? And he's like, honey, why art thou so angry? Because you are looking at her. She is our slave. You're not supposed to be looking at her. Okay, honey, what do you want me to do? Write a law to make her cover her hair. And so hence we have head wraps that they created, right? They drafted laws so the African woman or Afro woman, a brown skinned woman, could not wear her natural hair out. And it's still a problem till this day. Let me show you. They had to wear hats like this. Can you see? Right? They were the first one that started making hats like these. Right? So the African woman said, okay, we can't wear our natural hair out. You're angry at us that your husband is looking at us. So you pushed him to create a law that would force us to cover our hair. Okay, fine. We will create hats. And then they have the fancy hats. This is why you would see a lot of women in church with these fancy hats, because it came from way back during slavery time, if you know what I mean. Now, let's come back a little more now. And like I'm saying, one group of people always cosplay as another group of people. It has nothing to do solely with only jealousy. It has to do with dissatisfaction. I want that. You have it. I should have it too. So we have this cross pollination of different people wanting different things because people are inherently, usually, never satisfied. So after the women started covering their hair with hats and head wraps, then guess what? The head wraps and the hats look so good that they wanted it too. So guess what they started to do? They started making hats for themselves or getting hats made so they could compete with the very woman that they asked their husband to get them to cover up their hair. Right? So one group of people have the attributes that another group of people want, and they can't get it, so jealousy ensue, and they figured out how to make it stop, while at the same time figuring out how to mimic. How to mimic. Right? Because people always want what they don't have. So, let's continue looking. Here is another one. People are never satisfied with what they have. So while the European women are complaining that the Afro women have a big butt, and they're angry that their husband is looking, they now started creating dresses so they could look like they have a big butt. The Afro women have a hair that can be created in different styles, and the European woman don't have that, so she forced her husband to create laws to let them cover their hair. And they did, and while at the same time, the Euro woman started wearing the same attire that the Afros are wearing. All right? The hairstyles started getting more elaborate. So we have I showed this earlier, the Afro hairstyles, right? And the different weaves that they wear, right? And the different hairstyles and how natural hair had the quality to stay together, unlike the European hair, it would fall. So one hair had body and one hair doesn't. One hair could stay in a position that it was designed to stay in, while the other would not. But ways were figured out. As you can see, let's go back. And there it goes. Ways were figured out so they could wear their hair similar. Similar. Right? So it is all saying, I'm saying here that it doesn't matter what culture. People are never satisfied with what they have. They always cosplay as something else. You hear people out there talking about, oh, white women shouldn't have wear braids. And I'm saying to myself, what? Like, really? Why? It's just a hairstyle. Why do you think that only black women, Afro women, can wear braids. I'm sure that the Europeans were also wearing braids because it's a simple style to do. However, some folks think that a certain hairstyle, a certain style belong to them. And I have to say that nothing belongs to anyone. People adopt. People mimic what they see. Right? And if a person grows up in a certain culture, they are going to mimic what they see. They're going to mimic the cool kids. Right? Let's continue. So, because the Afro woman here tend to stay put, the European woman here needs some kind of stiffener to stay put, which is why you will have hair that will go up and look like this and stay up because they put mousse. Right? I'm getting somewhere with this. Right? Stay with me here. I'm getting somewhere with this. Give me a second. Dun, 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 dun. All right. So let's continue. You've heard people say this term, culture vulture. Now, what is a culture vulture? They would say that a white person, a European, are culture vultures. But are they really though? Or are they the only ones that are culture vultures? Why you say I asked that question? Why? Because everybody is a culture vulture. Everybody is a culture vulture. And here is why I say that. Now, I kind of give you a brief overview of how the women of the past wanted big butts, so they create dresses. They wanted the hairstyle, so they force people to wear hats, and then they start wearing it. They envy the hairstyle and that the hair would stay put. So what happened? They created a mechanism to be able to have their hair stay put, which is why they create some kind of chemical hardener mousse. Now, let's talk about, remember, I just mentioned culture vulture, and that we are all culture vultures. Now, what say you? Why do I say that we're all culture vultures? Because if you walk down the street today, you will see a Afro woman, African diaspora woman, looking like a Caucasian woman. You will see a Caucasian woman looking like an Afro woman. And you say, holy, by golly, gosh darn, what am I seeing here? And some people won't even realize what's in front of their eyes. That we're seeing the same archetype, however, played out differently, slightly differently in front of us. What say? Why, you ask? Why I say that? I am going to show you. Now, if you see what I'm seeing, you understand. You understand why I say you can say that the European women are not supposed to wear weave, braids. And I say, why not? Right? And you'll have the Afro woman saying, because it belongs to us. And I say, then why do you wear weave in your hair? Don't that belong to the European? So while you're saying that European women shouldn't be wearing braids, you're wearing European style hair. Let's face it.
Style my hair. I can tell if the
Let's
curls
hear
are
what she has to
fire by
say.
how the hair looks when it's wet. And y'all, this wig did not disappoint.
Let's go back.
There are levels to curly wigs, and once you reach this one, you definitely hit the jackpot. Y'all know a wig this beautiful just has to be from Curly Me Hair. Curly Me sent me this gorgeous ombre highlighted kinky curly wig. This is 18 inches and 180 density. And this wig is their best seller, and I definitely see why. This is a wear and go wig, so the lace comes pre-cut, pre-plucked, pre-bleached. You don't have to do anything to this hair but put it on and style it if you like, and y'all know I'm gonna style my hair. I can tell if the curls are gonna be fire by how the hair looks when it's wet, and y'all, this wig did not disappoint. I was so shocked. Look at how gorgeous and beautiful these curls are. Like, you cannot tell me that this isn't my hair, baby. My hair is blonde from the scalp. If you see me wearing this wig for the rest of the summer, mind your business. Y'all know where the link is. Bye.
So, she is obviously wearing a wig. Now, going back to my point, that everybody is a culture vulture. That while we have so many people complaining that one group of people are not supposed to be doing this or not supposed to be doing that, you have another group of people doing the very thing in their way, their interpretation of how they see the other group. Right? Let's
get into these bundles.
Look up this other one. So let's start this over. Let's pause this. So as you can see here, and by no means, I know that some people will be offended. I 100% understand that some people will be offended. But we have a culture of mimicking each other. This is why the title says, Culture Mimicking. Does people's opinion truly matters? And if we are going to be doing culture mimicking, please expect that people will have an opinion. You may not like someone's opinion, but they are expressing their thoughts based on what they see. And some people will come on the internet And they will say, I didn't come on the internet for you to have an opinion about me. But golly gosh darn, why did you put that information on the internet? Are you a? Because if you're not, then you wouldn't do that. So let's continue here. So, like I said, European women have a certain hair quality or hair, certain hair textures, mostly. We have Afro groups or Afro cultures or subsets in Africa that have very straight hair, like the Somalians, right? Or the Egyptians, the real ones, right? And other groups. How I know? Because I've actually know them personally. And I see this type of hair. However, for the greater masses, they don't have this type of hair. However, you will hear them say, you're not supposed to wear braids. You're Caucasian or you're white. You're not supposed to wear braids. While at the same time, wearing very straight, Eurocentric hair. So let's hear what she has to say. Bitch, I want your head in a jar on my nightstand. Draco on my.
Let's get into these bundles.
Bitch, I want your head in a jar on my nightstand. Draco on my side, blade in my mouth, Glock in my right hand.
Let's get into these bundles.
All right.
Quick weaves are not quick, but I love how this hair came.
Now, like I say, this is not to pick on anyone. This is just to point out simple, very present and apparent fact. Now, when we talk about culture mimicking, I'm saying culture mimicking because there's a term, culture vulture. And that term, culture vulture, does not fit well in today's society. Absolutely does not fit well in today's society. And if anyone thinks that the phrase culture vulture, all right, which is, it is ad hominem, sorry, I'm messing up the word, ad hominem, right? Or it's a way to disparage or disgrace someone for wanting a certain feature, right? And the phrase culture vulture does not apply. So what needs to happen, it just needs to go away the dinosaurs. What we need to start saying is culture mimicking, because everybody does it, right? It doesn't matter. I give you an example. Hip hop music was created by Afro Americans or American Africans, right? However you want to phrase it. And that was done back in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s. But now across the world, across the globe, everybody does hip hop. That's the number one music that's played and listened to across the world. And every group of people mimic it. It doesn't matter if you are Afro, Euro, Asian, or wherever else you're from. Also mimic the dance, the break dancing, the b-boys stands, all of that. Why? Because it's culture mimicking. There's a saying that when the black Americans do something, we're the trendsetters. And it's mimicked everywhere else in the world. Why? Because typically we usher things in and then everybody else mimic it. Like rock and roll music, right? It was created by black artists. Rhythm and blues, a version was created. It's called country music, right? R&B, a version was created that's called pop music. Every culture mimic, every culture takes, right, from each other, right? So no more culture vulture. Culture mimicking is what we are all doing. So why I'm showing the hair is because while certain people will say this hairstyle belongs to us, another group of people is wearing the same hairstyle. Going back, for those of you that did not hear what I was saying when I said that back during slavery time, the Euro woman wanted big butts. They were mad, so they created dresses to make them look like they have big butts. Same with the hair, and it's on and on and on. All right? Same with the music, it's on and on and on. So, we talk about wigs. Let's hear what she has to say and then I jump on.
Bundles now, y'all. And they sent me 4 packs of their deep wave curly hair. And these bundles were just what I needed for the fall, okay? Y'all know I love a deep curly wig, so bundles will definitely be given the same. I almost couldn't believe how full this hair was. I'm talking about big. I have 2 26-inch and 2 28-inch bundles, and I'm going in a little bit just to cut and frame the shape of my face. And surprisingly, this hair blended really well with my natural hair with only an application of my Wetline Extreme Gel. And look at this hair, y'all. This turned out exactly how I imagined. This hair was so gorgeous, full, voluminous, bouncy, you name it. When it's starting to get cold outside, I just like my wigs a little longer and a little more full. Go get this wig, sis. Y'all know where the link is. Quick weaves are not quick.
So, you understand, culture mimicking is a thing, not culture vulture. So, let me check off wigs off my list. And then we're going to go to the next big thing that we know that has permeated society. Permeated society. What has permeated society? Let me pull it up. Fake eyelashes. And now, a lot of people are wearing fake eyelashes. Right? Me personally, I don't like it. I call them bat wing lashes. The original name was Cumbrella because a piece the word together, a piece created it back in the, I think the 1800s. Because when she used to do her service, her johns, and they load off in her forehead, it used to go down in her eyes. And to stop that from happening, she created with another pistitute what's called cumbrellas. Fast forward, you have women that are wearing these cumbrellas. If you look it up online, it will say that it's a slang, but it's not. Because right now, a lot of search engines or artificial intelligence that they have are not really spitting out the truth. But because I've been around for 100 years, I know the truth. And I've told people that. Right? My daughter put these things on. And I tell her, absolutely not when you're around me. When you're with your mom, fine. But around me, absolutely. And she still try to sneak and do it. But she knows me. If I get a little bit annoyed, she know what's coming next. So, let's look. This is ridiculous. She can't even keep her eyes open. Look at this. Look at this. We know, a lot of us men, and speaking for the men out there, a lot of us, we don't like this. We want to see women with their natural lashes, their natural hair. But it appears that we'll never get it, right? Look at this. Every group of women is doing this, right? Look, let's hear what she has to say.
Explaining, because what in the world is this? People, including myself, have spent hundreds up to thousands of dollars to get false lashes, and I just went boom, boom, snap, got the most gorgeous freaking eyelash. These are magnetic lashes, and literally watch how easy this is. Everything is labeled, so you know what lash to put on the top and then what one goes on the bottom. The applicator is curved, so you just go right up to your eyelid, snap it in place, and you got the most freaking gorgeous eyelashes. Now, do not make my mistake and get the cheap ones, because I guess you get what you pay for. They literally fall off so fast. Or these magnetics are freaking strong enough to withstand a freaking leaf blower and roller coasters, and heck, you can even go swimming in these. But still, somehow when you're ready to take it off, it's so easy. You just grab it and pull it off, and it comes off so easy without pulling your natural lashes off with it. The kind I have on is a 17 Ice Black. This is one of the more bolder styles, but if you want something more natural, they do have those available. But if you're gonna get them, absolutely do it now during their promotional, because not only are you saving money getting these on sale, but you are also saving money in the long run.
Do you understand why I say culture mimicking? Because everybody is doing it. And listen, most people idolize celebrities. And we see that most of the people that this is taken from are usually celebrities. Celebrities start a trend, and their followers, their mini-me's, start doing the exact same thing. Right? So many people from many culture are wearing eyelashes. Do you see? Do you see? Many people from many cultures are wearing fake eyelashes. It's become such a joke that us men start making satire. People, fake eyelashes has become such a joke that do you see? However, no matter how much we say we don't like the fake hair, the fake eyelashes, right? The fake behind, all of that stuff, we keep getting it, right? It doesn't matter the culture. All you see is mimicry out there, right? Mimicry. No more culture vulture, culture mimicking. All right? Let's look at something else. I have one for you guys. Let's see if this one is it. Culture mimicking. This is obviously an Asian woman wearing fake eyelashes. It's mimicking. Everybody is doing it. The celebrities start the trend, kind of, and the woman naturally picks it up and start doing it. Mimicry. All right? Let me see. No, that's not the one I'm looking for. Let me see if I. No, that's not it. Where is it? Where is it? Aha. Here. I think this is it. Aha. Look, fake eyelashes has gotten so proliferated towards society that we have men that are wearing fake eyelashes. Are you freaking serious? This is crazy, right? Wouldn't you say that? That if you saw a man wearing fake eyelashes, you would wonder, what has the world come to? Right? You wonder, what has the world come to? So, you can't just think that mimicry is only gender specific. Because it's not. Mimicry is not gender specific.
Facts.
Why would it be gender specific? If there are people out there that are willing to cosplay as another gender and want us to acknowledge their insanity and call them another gender. So mimicry is not gender specific. It is absolutely
Never underestimate a woman's delusion.
delusional when we see people mimic other people or gender mimic other gender. It's cosplaying. It's not culture vulture, it's mimicking, culture mimicking. So when you see a man now putting on fake eyelashes, you have to pause because they too want to be pretty. Right? So now I am going to talk about one more thing. And then I'm going to ask someone to call in. Let me get this ready. Where did I put the... Give me a second here. Give me a second here. All right, right here. All right. So I got the studio phone up. All right. All right. So right now, I have the number up for folks that want to call in and have an opinion. Right? It's 1-844 put me on or 1-844-788-6366. So while I wait for someone to call in, again, 1-844-788-6366. All right. So, understand there's one important component, and we can Let's move this from this. Give me a second. All right. So the call in number is there. You can call in 1-844-788-6366 and let's have a conversation. And you can give your opinion. Right? Give us a call and we can talk. Okay. Yellow? Yellow? Yes. Yes. Can you hear? All right. Let me make sure that you're coming through. All right. Go ahead. Talk.
So that was very interesting. Yeah, I can honestly say I wore weaves before. It wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think it would ever be for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of women don't need it. I think it's just like you say, it's a cultural thing.
Uh-huh.
I think a lot of women just wear it because they want to look different, and majority of the men, that's what they like. So they try to kind of match what the men like. I don't necessarily feel like I have to change the way I look to satisfy somebody
Wait a second
how
here.
they look towards me.
Wait a second here. Pause right there. Pause. Did you just say a majority of men like the weave?
Yeah, they
No.
do.
No. No. We don't.
In my this is about opinions now. In my opinion, I have dreads.
Okay.
My dreads are long,
Okay.
and I honestly say I went out with women around my age group who wear weave or wear braids, and men, they wasn't looking my way. They was looking that way. They was looking at the women who got the weaves and the braids and stuff. And I was like, okay. At some point, I thought, was like, what's wrong with me? Because I have dreads. So even when I was in Atlanta, um, majority of the women wore their natural hair, and that was back in the 90s.
Okay.
So when I moved back to Miami, basically it was a common thing growing up. Like even in high school, majority of my classmates wore weave,
Mm-hmm.
and I still had a curly perm. So I mean, I didn't start wearing my curly perm until like my junior year in high school,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much. I kind of shied away from it and permed my hair and had a straight hair. By the time I got to Atlanta, I cut all the perm out and I went natural. So I started having I cut my hair down already down low
Mm-hmm.
and started growing out my hair. So by the time I had my daughter, my hair was pretty natural, and I still like men still didn't want to look at my way. I was like, what's wrong with my short natural hair? But because it was like a thing in Miami that all the women wore weave or braids, it's like I tried to fit in with, and I started getting my hair braided or I started getting weave, and it didn't ever look good on me, so I went back natural. So when I got married, a little bit before I got married, I started growing my dreads. Even though his side of the family did not like it, they thought dreads was dirty. It's a common thing in Jamaica where it has side of people whose dreadlock are known in their society to be like nasty, dirty, or whatever. But also like I had to explain myself to his side of the family. I was like, no, like I'm growing my dreads and that's it. And that was back in, let me see, 2006. Yeah, about 2006. That's when I started like no, well before that, because I started going natural back in 80, well 98,
Mm-hmm.
and I started dreading my hair like 2007. Well, yeah, around 2007. That's when I started dreading my hair. So and I had dreads ever since, and I never looked back. I never put a wig on my head, and like I said before, I tried the eyelashes for my 50th birthday pictures to kind of make my eyes kind of look, um, whatever. I don't know, but it made my eyes pop out or whatever. It looked more natural to me. And
Mm.
then as soon as I got home, I took those things off because it was irritating my eyes.
So if it looked
And I wore them again, huh?
so if it looked more natural to you, why did you take them out as soon as you got home?
Because it was irritating my eyes. I didn't like it. It didn't feel. It was irritating my eyes, and my eyes kept on watering. So I
Aha.
just, I just took them off. I didn't like it, and then I never wore them again. Like I wore them, yeah, I wore them after maybe one time. I kind of got the ones that like the girl put on the magnet ones, and they stay on. And when I was at, I know if I was at my birthday dinner, them things kept on coming off, and I kept on trying to fix them. It was so embarrassing. And I was like, this is not for me. And I never put them back on. I was like, forget about it.
So
It's not
what
for me.
did you
So
feel? Did you feel like a?
yeah. Listen, no, it felt weird. Just like it just wasn't for me. So I was like, I have naturally I have long eyelashes, so I didn't need it. So if I want my eyelashes to like look longer, then I just use the mascara. They got mascara that kind of extend your helps extend your natural eyelashes and stuff like that. So
So
yeah,
what do you think about men that are wearing eyelashes too?
well, I think this isn't it something common among the men are that they're gay.
Well,
Isn't that common?
what I got to find out that some of the men that are getting fake eyelashes done are not gay. They just
Really?
yeah, they just want a more
I
fuller eyelash look.
Well, but I always thought some men had long eyelashes anyway. Some men I see some men always complain about their eyelashes being too long and stuff like that. But I have never seen a straight dude with putting eyelashes on. I see straight dudes putting like they got um the weave that they put in their hair and they cut it down to hide their bald spot, um, so they don't look old. That's something that's going on. That's very common now.
Yeah, I've seen men actually pasting hair on their scalp like it's a wig for men.
Yeah, it's actually a weave, and the barber cuts it down and they shave it down to make it look like their regular real hair. That's very common. So you think one day they bald headed and the next day they got hair. It's like, okay, that's weave. So that's
Mm-hmm.
very common. That's very common now. Um, but I have seen some women who don't need to wear weave at all. They to me they look beautiful with their natural look and their natural hair.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when they do take that the wig off and their hair just pop out. And I'm like, wow. And they compare their natural hair with the weave, and I'm like, why are you wearing weave? And I think it's just like um they don't want to maintain it. For one, they don't want to maintain their natural hair.
Mm-hmm.
Two, they're getting lazy. You know, everybody wants straight curly hair or straight hair
Mm-hmm.
instead of the natural look. You know, our natural hair.
Right.
So my son always had long hair. Has a baby,
Mm-hmm.
long hair, and I remember, he's been in private school and now he's in a charter school, public charter school,
Mm-hmm. All right.
and
Check this out. I'm going to um play this video. Bring this video in. Let's start this over.
Insecure about your hair? Do you want to feel confident again? Look no further than... Are you tired of feeling insecure about your hair? Do you want to feel confident again? Look no further than our men hair system. This incredible product will give you naturally shiny, just like your own hair. It's time to feel confident again. Don't wait any longer to achieve the perfect hairstyle. Click below to order your men hair system today and start feeling confident again. Are you tired of feeling insecure about your hair?
Isn't that crazy? Let me show you another one.
yep.
So
Oh wow.
look at that. Women are wearing wigs. Men are wearing wigs. Look at that
That's
hairpiece.
what I'm saying.
Wow.
Look on that. Look on that. Yep.
Hey,
How
folks.
them cut it down.
Yes.
See, that's the matter of fact. It's no crime.
Look.
ITBOYBBNO $. That's me.
Look at that.
Yep. Them cutting it down to make it look like them here. That's crazy. He actually looked good.
Look at that. Look at that. Men and women are wearing wigs. Look at that.
Wow.
All right, look at this. Look at this.
Oh, no.
Look.
Hell no.
Look.
That's crazy.
Yes.
He, he look better.
The guy put on makeup. Makeup.
Yep. Makeup.
Fake hair. Makeup and fake. So when people talk about, yeah, look at this. Look at this. When people talk about
Scene with my ceiling missing. Pull up to the scene with my ceiling missing.
when people talk about you pull up, you hear the song, pull up to the scene with my ceiling missing.
To the scene with my ceiling missing.
So you have people, my friends. Before I continue, you may call in at 1-844-788-6366. That's 1-844-788-6366. Right? And voice your opinion. Now, you have this slang that you heard mentioned during the stream if you've been watching for the stream. Culture vulture. And I think the new phrase I coined is culture mimicking. We should, yes, yes, yes. culture mimicking. Why? Because every culture mimics another culture. Look at this. Yes. Huh? Absolutely. Wait. I have something for that. Where it is? Where it is? Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I need to see if I can find it. So I can. And where is it? Where's that? Where's that? No. No, I wouldn't put fake hair in so I could look 20 years younger. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not me. My daughter said to me the other day. She's like, "Father, you grew a full head of hair, and some people are bald, and you shave your head off every day." No, my hair, it's slightly thin on top here, but it still grows in fully. So if I let it grow in fully, I'll grow a full head of hair. It's slightly back a little bit, over years it receded a little bit, right? And that's because of stress, right? I remember when it actually started. But if I let it grow, I have a full head of hair on my head. Mhm. 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 So let me ask you a question. Are you saying that you add hair in, artificial hair in, to your real hair, and let it and gel it in so it becomes a part of your hair and it becomes permanent? Mhm. 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 Mm. Me putting fake hair on? No. Mhm. 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 Your br- your Wow. Mm-hmm. Mm. 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 So so yeah, well, minoxidil and I think it's called minoxidil and I forgot they hair products that they use monoxid something and I don't know mm, yeah because the foods are not nutrient don't have the nutrients inside of it for their body to maintain. My hair didn't start thinning until I was, I think, 40, I think 48, right? And I'm aging myself, everybody, right? It didn't start thinning until I was like 48. Full head of hair, high. I just, I just started shaving it. I started shaving it because uh, all right. So when I say that culture mimicking is not gender specific, and we should do away with the term culture vulture because every group of people mimic another group of people, every culture. They mimic the way they speak, the way they actually, let me rephrase that. The way they walk, the way they dress, the way they dance, the music, and they also mimic their slang. Right? So slang is one of the things that we as a people mimic from other cultures, right? Like I remember I believe I was talking to you today, and I speak to other people. Like for me, when I say the word bed, it's BED. And then when I hear some people, they say bed, they say bed. And I'm like, there is no A in, it's not BEAD, it's not bed. It's BED, bed. right? Or they say like, what else? I hear them say dead. I'm like, there's no, it's not dead. It's dad. DAD. Right? So and I notice that I hear it with other groups of people. So one group of people may say it that way, but over time, another group of people say like I hear certain people like I've been told like, hey, why do you speak that way? Like, what do you mean? You speak too proper. You sound like you're white. Like you want to be white. I'm like, are you saying that speaking properly is me being me wanting to be white? That absolutely make no sense to me, right? That's irrational and illogical for you to make such a statement. They said, no, you want to be white because you speak too proper, right? And then they go on to speak. I give you a great scenario. I remember when I was 30, I think 30, no, I think 42. There was a chick. She was like 35, and I was doing property management, and this chick really liked me. And she would come to the office and she'll sit down and ask me certain question, and she would ask me very personal question, right? And I would answer her, but when I answer her, I sound too proper. So because because I sound too proper, she says to me that, hey, you know, I like you. I want to give you some of this, but you speak too proper. You want to be white. And I'm like, what? Are you saying that because I pronounce my word properly and enunciate properly, I want to be white? She says, yes. Right? Eh, Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Shouts out to her. Shout outs to Miss Main. Mm-hmm. Hey, let's elaborate on the word that everybody uses now. And this is why I say, people, you can call in 1-844-788-6366 and voice your opinion, right? Because we're talking about what I call culture mimicking, right? And that we should do away with the phrase or the term culture vulture because every culture mimics each other, no matter from where you're from across the globe, right? So no more culture vulture. Let's do away with that. It's culture mimicking, right? Uh, Now let's talk about the word finna, right? I remember when I was young and going to New Orleans Senior High. Shouts out to New Orleans Senior High. I have to give a hair horn for that. When I was going to New Orleans Senior High, I remember they used to say, fixing to, right? I'm fixing to go. Yeah. Hold on. I'm going to break it down. Folks, for those of you who are listening, let me break down where the word finna came from, right? And I even know where the word gonna came from. Going to, right? But let me talk about finna. When I was going to school, back in the 80s, high school, I'm aging myself. People used to say fixing to. So when lunchtime come, I say, hey, where you going to grab lunch? They would say, "I'm fixing to go to the corner store, or I'm fixing to go to the food truck to get something to eat." Right? That was when I was in ninth grade. I was hearing that. And then what happened is that I started hearing, "I'm fintu." I'm like, "Fintu? What does fintu mean?" Right? What does fintu mean? Fixing to became fintu. Right? Wait, man, you jumping. Let me tell the story. Let me tell the story. So fixing to became fintu. And then by the time I reached to 12th grade, fintu became finna. Right? And no, sorry, it became fintu. Right? And then finna. And then now, fast forward, everybody say finna. Right? So for those of you who don't know, the etymology of the word finna came from the phrase fixing to, which became fintu, that became finna today that you're using. So that's on my list of things that I've been meaning to discuss. Right? Slang. I talk about cosplaying. I talk about wiggery, lashes, fake eyelashes, and now I'm talking about slangs. So, if you notice, finna started and it proliferated. Now you have everybody saying it. But here's what. When I used to go to different assignment in different parts of Florida, right, or I went to different states, I would hear hillbilly people saying fixin' to. Now I hear hillbilly people saying from way back then finna. So you have people from the ghetto, the hood, saying finna, and you have people from the trailer park saying finna. Right? This is why when you listen to people speak, even if they speak properly, even if they come from suburbia, they will over time be infiltrated by the slangs that they hear on TV, on the radio, all over social media. They become infiltrated and start using terms. This is why you'll see a blonde-ear, blue-eye, educated woman from the suburbs using words like finna. This is why you'll see that same archetype. Hold on, Shay. Shay, hold on, please. This is why you'll hear the same archetype using different phrases, but they'll also have the fake eyelashes on. They will go out and they'll get their butts done, so they get a BBL, right? So when we talk about culture vulture, there's no such thing. It's culture mimicking. So people will have the same slang, but they'll pronounce it with their dialect within their social economic social class, right? So you'll be watching TV or social media, and you'll hear a well-spoken person blurt out, my nigga. I'm like, huh? Oh, wait a second here. Now, when I hear Caucasian people, this might offend some people, but when I hear certain Caucasian people say, nigga, it don't offend me. It just doesn't. Right? But some people get highly offended. Right? And I understand why. But we have it in the music. We have the word nigga in the music. And they are singing along with the music. I remember I was watching a Kendrick Lamar performance, and he brought a Caucasian chick from suburbia on stage, and she was rapping along, and she said the N word, and everybody paused, and he paused and said, hey. but it's in the music. So the way we speak, what's in the music, what's on social media, what's in the movie, it's going to proliferate across all socio-economic groups, right? So this is why we need to do away with the term culture vulture. It needs to be culture mimicking, right? Now, say what you're going to say. Hold on, Shay. Oh, hold on. I'm wondering if your audio went out. Give me a. Are you hearing yourself over the stream? Uh, talk, talk. Yes, something went. Give me a second. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Go ahead, speak.
Hello?
Okay, I think you're good now. Speak.
Hello?
All right.
I still can't hear myself.
Hold on.
Hello?
You're good. I think you're good. Go ahead,
Really?
talk. Give me a second. Give me a second. Let me double check. Hold on, folks. Go ahead, speak. Yes, you're good.
Okay, yeah, I can hear myself now.
All right, cool. All right, continue.
So, I had a roommate who was from Kansas City, and she spoke with an accent, and most of the time I couldn't understand what she was saying. I also had a roommate from Tennessee, so you do have to understand that people from up north, like Wisconsin, Alabama, um, Tennessee, especially, they have a very strong accent. They talk instead of they say man, they say ming.
Mm-hmm.
um, they have a very very strong accent. And it's I don't know. It's for me it's weird because it's I think again the way they where they lived, the way they brought up. Um, People from Alabama they speak differently too. People from Atlanta they speak because even when I moved up to Atlanta and I was there for 7 years, um, people thought I was country, and I was like, well, y'all country up here the way they talk,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to get laughed at a lot. So and then I stopped talking like they was like, well, you don't sound like you're from Miami, and I said, well, how Miami people sound like? They was like, well, y'all sound like y'all from the South. I was like, well, how do the South? So I guess they got used to seeing Miami people talking in slang, like
Mm-hmm.
"What up," you know, and stuff like that. And I was like, so I start talking in the Jamaican term, like "Wagwan," stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that.
If you notice
So
now, if you notice now, you hear a lot of suburbia saying "What up," or they say "What up, dog," right? It's all culture mimicking. Continue.
yeah, because up in Atlanta, they say "What's up," and then down here in the South, we was like "What up," you know. Again, you go to Bahamas. I went to Bahamas one time with my boyfriend. Mom for 2 weeks was up in there for New Year's and stuff, and the man was like whispering at me, like trying to holler at me. They was like, I was like, what the hell is that? And the cousin was like, they trying to holler at you. And I was like, they sound like snakes, or like in mine, they'd be like, what's up, baby? Or Jamaicans be like, what going, baby? What's up, baby? Baby. So, yeah, it's a culture thing with the language and stuff like that. It's definitely, but I was corrected a lot when I was a kid. I couldn't say spinner. I couldn't say certain things. I would get corrected like right there. Like up in Atlanta, it's like yes, ma'am. Everything is ma'am. Down here in the South, we didn't say ma'am. We say mama or
Mm-hmm.
mommy.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. So up north, especially around the Muslim, is yes, ma'am, yes, sir, or sir, or ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Down here, it wasn't like that. It was we called the person, by their last name. If there was a grown person, we called like Miss Lawrence or Miss Mean, or you know, we couldn't call them from their first name, like Dolores or Anthony, stuff like that. That was like a sign of disrespect. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn that as a child too, because um, I used to call people, grown people from their first name, and somebody corrected me and said, you don't know, you're not no home training. You must
Mm-hmm.
call them from their last name, Miss Mean, no Dolores. But I was going after what my mom said,
Mm-hmm.
because my mom would talk to them by their first name.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a culture. It's a culture thing. Even in high school, again, a
Hey, this
lot
white man
of
just called me a nigga and a
All right, I give you. I'm gonna just play something um
mm,
on I found an X, and I just talked about it that you have Caucasians, or what we all call white person, say the word nigga, right? And and uh and people, they get in fights, right? I'm gonna show you this one guy. I think this guy. His name is Nick Fuentes. I probably won't even show Nick Fuentes. Let me show this one guy, and he got in a fight. I'll try to cut it off before the fight start, but
hey, it's a man working here.
but
You gonna serve this man? I don't give a fuck. What did you
listen.
just call me?
All right. So all right. So this is why when I hear people, you're going to be offended for what I'm going to say next. You can call in with your opinion at 1-844-788-6366. That's 1-844-788-6366. Because the N word, is in the music, right? A lot of people that are Caucasians feel comfortable saying the N word, right? And other people get very upset, very upset, livid, that they are so fluid with saying it. But it's in the music. And they feel comfortable, especially if that's what they grow up around. So I'm going to play this video, this clip that I found on X, and I'm going to stop it before the fight starts. All right, let's play it.
What did you just call me?
I called you a nigga, bruh.
Hey, this white man just called me a nigga in Augusta, Georgia, at the Waffle House.
Yeah,
Why are you calling me that?
What are you talking about? You're a nigga, bruh.
That's crazy.
My mommy and daddy are
Hey,
black, bruh,
it's
so
a black man working here. You gonna serve
My
this
mommy
man?
and daddy are black, so I can
I don't
say
give a
that,
fuck
nigga.
who the fuck. I
grew
don't
up
care
around
who you're
black
raised by. Why are you calling me that?
Bruh, because you're a nigga.
I don't even know you. You a bum.
Bruh, fuck
If I
you,
put
bruh.
my hands on you, I'm gonna go to jail, though,
You're
right?
not gonna do shit, nigga.
I'm not gonna do shit.
You're not gonna do shit.
I'm not gonna do shit.
You see? Do you see? Yellow? Okay.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. So they're comfortable with saying the word. So the slangs are going to be used, and sometimes there is no malicious intent behind it. I remember uh, I went to an event in West Palm Beach, and I was working at the event, and I walked into the restroom, and when I walked into the restroom, there was a bunch of young boys in there. They looked like they were in their middle to late teen, and they're all Caucasians, right? And the amount of N words that they're calling each other, they didn't even realize I walked in, but they're just calling each other, right? They're calling each other nigger, no problem, with no issues. And I walked in and they said to me, "Oh, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, bro." And I'm like, "Carry on, man. That's you guys. That doesn't offend me. That doesn't bother me." Now, had I been a different type of person that took that personal, it would have probably turned out differently. But because I'm a logical man, I'm a sensible man, and realize that people are going to be people, and if they hear the words in the music, hear it all the time in society, they are going to eventually start using the terms. And so if we get upset because we hear somebody use the N word, and they're not of that certain group, they're going to be naturally upset because another group of people use the N word. But let's face it, slangs are slangs. And you hear people like what's his name, the producer that was from the NWA, Ice Cube, say that word belonged to black Americans, right? They took it and made it their own. But it was a disparaging word that now is a part of everyday Lexington. Even the most intelligent people I've heard with it. You know what I mean?
Yep, that's true.
Yeah. Most intelligent people I've heard with it. So, the opinions of people matters, and people's opinion matter. And so, my friends, my countrymen, man and woman, ladies and gentlemen, understand here that when you go out in the world and you think that someone may not have an opinion, or you go online and you present yourself, or you make a statement, or you show your personal life and don't want anyone to judge you, everybody will have an opinion. That's not something that you can't stop. It's something you cannot stop. You know, listen, it doesn't matter how you feel about someone else. It doesn't matter how they feel about you. An opinion is an opinion. A conjecture is a conjecture. You can deal with it maturely and walk away, or you can confront it with violence. I would recommend not confronting it with violence because the outcome might be detrimental because everybody has an opinion. I personally think that we should bring shame back because what's out there in the world right now, what we've seen, is deplorable. And what we are being forced to accept is disgraceful. And even though you may not want someone to have an opinion, they're going to have an opinion. Just understand, it's how you handle that opinion. It's how you handle that opinion. So, with that being said, Shea, thank you for calling in. I wanted to get. I appreciate you. Let's give you a round. Let's give you a round of applause for that. Let's give you a round of applause for that. And we still have a few minutes, folks. If you want to call in and have a few words to say, 1-844-788-6366. 1-844-788-6366. All right? Because we can make this stream go a little bit longer if you have a few things that you want to say. Voice your opinion on what and about people's opinion, and that people will have an opinion regardless of how you or anyone else feels. People will have an opinion, and it's how you handle it. So if you have an opinion, call in. Thank you. If you have an opinion, call in and let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about it. So, listen. How we handle things, how we deal with things can actually determine our outcome that very moment or the next day. Right? You see the thumbnail and you see the faces. And these are all faces made from different opinions. The faces look laughing, crying, hysterical, surprised, scared, frowning, wondering, screaming, mocking. They're all opinions. How you handle it will determine the type of person you are, male or female. All right? So, thank you for watching. And like I always say in closing, peace and love, respects, and remember to always question everything. Because if you don't, you may fall for anything. Think and say, have a good day. Let me close you out with some music. Do-do-do-do-do.